Big breaking news coming in. It is the first big admission by Pakistan and by Pakistan government specifically, and that is Dawood Ibrahim is in Pakistan. And remember, they have decided to also put restrictions on him. This is important because this is the first official admission coming in from Pakistan. This is literally, it seems, under global pressure to be able to get out of the FATF grey list that Pakistan has come out with the decision. And this has been followed after years of denial, admitting that Dawood Ibrahim is in Pakistan. He's also on the list of some other known terrorists that have been put forth as a list by the government. His address is being shown in Karachi. Pakistan government has directed to apply travel restrictions, arms embargo and freeze funds and also some properties of some of the names. So apart from Dawood Ibrahim, there is also Masood Azhar and others also mentioned on the list. So on one side, we have, of course, some archive file footage of Dawood Ibrahim and some very rare photographs. But on the other side, take a look at that. What you see on your screen, yes, it is a file footage of some years ago, but that is the residence of Dawood Ibrahim that was available with India Today. India Today had been able to access and maintain, put forth that this was the residence and the location available. But Pakistan has been in denial that this could possibly be Dawood Ibrahim living. But today, it is clearly putting all of that to rest. And there you have it, Pakistan government by itself accepting. Gaurav Sawant with all the latest. So Gaurav, India Today already had those visuals, had the proof, even though Pakistan was not admitting it. Today, should we say that for whatever reason, whether it's global pressure to get out of the FATF list, and this is a big admission, should we stay with that or should we really see what does Pakistan do next to ensure all these properties and funds are seized?
You're absolutely right. It's a huge admission by Pakistan, and for the first time since the 1993 Mumbai blast, in which 257 innocent people had lost their lives, that Pakistan has admitted that Dawood Ibrahim is in Pakistan and all his movable and immovable assets are being seized. Big vindication for India. But remember, as you very rightly point out, Pooja, Pakistan's actions are a sham because Pakistan is in the international doghouse when it comes to Pakistan being a global epicenter of terror. The FATF sword hangs on Pakistan's neck like the sword of the Damocles, and that is why Pakistan has been forced to take action against Hafiz Saeed, Masood Azhar, Haqqani Network and Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar. But this is administrative action. Pakistan has taken this sham administrative action multiple times in the past. Pakistan needs to arrest the accused, prosecute them and convict them in a court of law. That will show that Pakistan is serious about cracking down on terror. Pakistan still hasn't done that even once, whether it's with Hafiz Saeed, Masood Azhar, or for the first time, Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar.
Also, Gaurav, just for the benefit of our viewers, Dawood Ibrahim has been in news for as long as we can remember. Why do we think that this should be important for Indian context as well, for India, with this big admission coming in from Pakistan?
The 1993 Mumbai serial blast. I will take the memory of our viewers back to 1993. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar, Tiger Memon, Iqbal Memon, multiple other so-called smugglers of that point of time, they worked with Pakistan's ISI. Several Indians went to Dubai. From Dubai, they went to Pakistan. They were trained in making bombs. So when they left Dubai, there was an exit stamp on their passport. When they entered Pakistan, there was no entry stamp on their passports. They took 21 days training in bomb making. Then they came back to Mumbai. Then they made bombs. 700 people were injured. 257 innocent Mumbaikars lost their lives when there were serial blasts in 1993 in Mumbai. This was Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar and his ISI masters in Pakistan avenging, as they say, or a show of strength of Islamic terror in India. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar and his family then fled to Pakistan, and they've been living there in Clifton, Karachi under different names So Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar is wanted in India for the 1993 Mumbai blast. They used the smuggling route to bring in RDX and other explosives at the Raigad coast and other coastal points in India and put those bombs together and killed 257 innocent Mumbaikars Puja. So he's still wanted in that case and a number of other terror cases in India where radical Islamic jihad was spread in our country through these people.
Gaurav, why do you think, we know it is global pressure, but why do you think this has come at this point, this huge admission that he lives in Pakistan? Because there was always evidence that he was living in Pakistan. India had always been pushing for that fact. But to have come it right now, what do you make of this timing?
So Pakistan, if you notice, is in deep trouble financially. India worked very closely with Saudi Arabia and with the United States of America, and Pakistan virtually ran out of money, and Imran Khan knows this. When Pakistan's Chief of the Army Staff, General Qamar Javed Bajwa, went to Riyadh on a bent knee, Saudi Arabia, you know, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman refused to give him an audience. That was a huge slap on Pakistan's face. In fact, Shah Mahmood Qureshi went running to China to get aid because there is an apprehension in Pakistan that Imran Khan may just lose his job under this international pressure and because Saudi Arabia is very angry. So this is the pressure that's currently working on Pakistan. If they want international aid, they need to crack down on terror. The FATF is breathing down their neck. China cannot protect them forever, and China also knows that because China anyways, because of coronavirus and Chinese actions, whether it's in Ladakh or in South China Sea, is being viewed very negatively globally. So that is why Pakistan has been forced to take, if I may, symbolic but sham action against Dawood Ibrahim.
Gaurav, it is important to tell our viewers that this is not just about Dawood Ibrahim, but it gains more significance because it comes with other known terrorists, internationally, globally recognized terrorists put in the same list. That is where Dawood Ibrahim is also mentioned. That is why the importance is even more.
You're absolutely right. So take a look at this terrorist that Pakistan has issued, against whom administrative action, against whom immovable and movable properties of these terrorists will be seized. The top on that list is Hafiz Muhammad Saeed of Jamaat Dawa or Lashkar-e-Taiba. Next is Maulana Masood Azhar of Jaish-e-Mohammed, both Pakistani terrorist organizations that target India. Then down that list, of course, there's Haqqani Network, there is the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, a couple of other terrorist organizations. Remember, Pakistan is known as global epicenter of terror for a very specific reason. Down that list is also Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar, but this becomes extremely crucial for India because remember the 1993 blast in Mumbai was the beginning of Pakistan using Islamic jihad as a weapon against India. Pakistan lost every war to India, 1947, 1965, 1971, Siachen, Kargil, but it realized it cannot fight with India because India is conventionally far more superior militarily. That is why it's using these radicalized Islamic elements to wage this so-called jihad against India. Now even that has failed after surgical strikes and Balakot airstrikes.
And also, Gaurav, what India today always knew, because we had the evidence visually as well on our screens right now, while on one side is the image of Dawood Ibrahim, on the other there is also the house in Karachi. And India today had that footage, we are running it now. That was a proof of White House Karachi that he's possibly there. And there was complete denial even then by Pakistan. So with this acceptance now coming, will it really become a huge issue that his properties are going to be seized, that there will be travel restriction? Because that's what the list is saying. And that we must wait. That we must wait and watch before immediately hailing Pakistan, perhaps, of even accepting that Dawood Ibrahim is in Pakistan.
One, you're absolutely right, but there is no question of hailing Pakistan at all. Pakistan, their government, their army, their ISI, they officially sponsor terror. They use Dawood Ibrahim and Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar as strategic arms of the Pakistan army to wage war against India, which they cannot fight and win militarily. So no question of hailing the Pakistan government. Imran Khan is known as Taliban Khan in Pakistan for a reason. He is an open supporter of the Taliban in Pakistan. But when it comes to this action, India's counterintelligence agency, the RAW, Research and Analysis Wing, they had details of Dawood Ibrahim's Pakistani passport numbers. He had 3 Pakistani passports. India had details of all 3. He has 3 houses in Defense Housing Authority in Clifton, Karachi. India has details. So he stays in one house, Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar. Tiger Memon stays in another one. His brother stays in the 3rd house. That's not all. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar is one of the biggest construction builders in Pakistan. Pakistan Army's black money is invested through Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar and his companies. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar became a big player in UAE, also in parts of Africa, especially Kenya, and in the United Kingdom. India systematically got details of Dawood Ibrahim's multi-million-dollar construction empire globally. India worked very closely, and that is where Indian diplomacy has achieved big results. UAE, Dawood's empire was virtually folded. In Saudi Arabia, Dawood was declared persona non grata. He was restricted to Pakistan. In United Kingdom, some of his properties have been identified for seizure and for subsequent action. In Africa, some of his properties are being folded up. So a lot of action is being taken by India diplomatically, globally, and now with this pressure on Pakistan, they've finally been forced to at least admit he's on Pakistani territory and that his properties will be seized. It remains to be seen whether prosecution happens.
Let's also talk about this fact, Gaurav, that apart from whether it's Jamaat-ud-Dawa, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Taliban, the Daesh group, all of these terrorists that are being mentioned in this list, there is a visual of his house already that we have had since years ago. The fact is, with now acceptance coming in from Pakistan, what does it also reflect? It reflects that he was even allowed to have a property there in Pakistan, a property that was allowed to stay existent all these years. Clearly, there must have been other transactions allowed to continue. So that reflects even more poorly that they did permit all this while.
You know, Pakistan is a state sponsor of terror. It's just that we Indians are so kind that we turn to look the other way. Look at Dawood Ibrahim's daughter married Javed Miadav's son. And that was an open marriage. Pakistani generals attended that marriage. Pakistani politicians attended that marriage. Pictures from that marriage were out in public domain, and yet India did nothing about it. Several Indian cricketers and Bollywood stars of those times, and you know, our intelligence agencies have names. They've even questioned some of the Bollywood personalities. In Dubai, they were dancing to Dawood Ibrahim's tunes. So this is perhaps the worst kept history or secret of Bollywood. The fact that Dawood Ibrahim was funding certain ventures is also being speculated and talked about. Investigated, well, that remains to be seen, but this is huge that now there is an official stamp about Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar being in Karachi, Pakistan. By the way, India today has details of Dawood Ibrahim's properties not just in Karachi but also in Lahore and in Islamabad. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar was also running an empire of transport business. All the American equipment that was going to Afghanistan. So Pakistan Army got Dawood Ibrahim to start a trucking business, to take all the equipment to Afghanistan. That entire trucking environment empire was run by Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar, which incidentally was also intelligence gathering mechanism through these truck drivers. So Dawood Ibrahim is very well entrenched in Pakistan's power circles, not just with his daughter marrying Javed Miadad's son.
Next from here. The admission has come from Pakistan, even if it is so late into the years. But what should be now next on agenda? And workfully, how should India really push for the next step that could be taken either under global pressure or Pakistan at some point realizing that they will have to come down heavily on these terror groups?
No, so, from whatever I have studied Pakistan in the past 2.5 decades, Pakistan will not crack down on terror on its own. These are Pakistan's children. Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar are more important to Pakistan than Imran Khan. They're also more powerful in Pakistan than Imran Khan, who incidentally is called the mayor of Islamabad, in a lighter way. But that's also a fact that Imran Khan he carries no clout. He's actually a lame duck prime minister. The power is wielded by Qamar Javed Bajwa, yes, Pakistan's army chief, and ISI and these terrorists who are a strategic arm of the Pakistan army. So will Pakistan crack down on them in the right earnest? Clearly not. They may put them in jail for 6 months, where they may even father children, like in the case of Zakir Rahman Lakwi. He fathered a child while he was in Adiala jail, but that's one part of the story. Sustained international pressure will result in prosecution, and that prosecution where evidence is presented in a court of law for conviction of these terrorists. Unfortunately, that has not happened so far. I've covered this from the time of the Parliament attack, the Kargil war, Akshardham temple attack, 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Pune German bakery attack, attack on the Indian embassy in Afghanistan, attacks on our consulates. So we've covered all these cases with clear ISI and NET signatures, but no action was taken against Hafiz Saeed.
All right, Gaurav, I also request you to stay on, because the big breaking news here at this hour, and why it is important, why we are staying with this, is it's a big admission from Pakistan that Dawood Ibrahim is in Pakistan, at least his properties actively being used. And this is after years of denial, of course, under global pressure as well. There is his address on the document that is mentioned, which is in Karachi, of which visuals are already available with India today. But it's an admission now coming in from Pakistan. But as Gaurav is saying, a lot more needs to be done, and that perhaps only time will tell. So we are now being joined by others and guests as well on the broadcast here. And Gaurav, just as I wait for some guests also now joining us, because this is such a big story, for the viewer who's watching right now, somebody who's either interested in and has been tracking or what actually came of Dawood Ibrahim, they would want to know, Gaurav, what is the next step from here? Because yes, the admission has come, but that admission is on paper. Many will want to see really what next will the government of Pakistan, or as you're saying, the agencies or the army, will really do to prove their word on the document.
So, because there's international pressure, Pakistan may seize properties, and that will remain on paper, may seize their movable and immovable assets, including bank accounts. But, you know, they hardly operate in the white economy. These are the people who operate through black economy, terror, drugs, gun running. That is their main business apart from property. So a lot of their business is all black money, and they have tons and tons of it. So this is symbolic action to placate the Financial Action Task Force and the international community, because Pakistan is virtually on the verge of bankruptcy, with Saudi Arabia now telling Pakistan to return its money. $1 billion has already been returned, and taken, a loan was taken from China to return this money. So Pakistan is in a very, very difficult situation. Only for international pressure to ease. And remember, from what we've heard in diplomatic circles, both Saudi Arabia and the United States of America have told Pakistan that if India lets go of the pressure, then you have breathing space. Now it remember that the government gives that breathing space to Imran Khan. We are saying that Imran Khan's days could also be numbered. Imran Khan could well be replaced by either another titular prime minister, or General Raheel Sharif could make a comeback from Saudi Arabia. And that would be, as far as Imran Khan is concerned, disastrous. He's already a lame duck prime minister in Pakistan. So it remains to be seen whether, to be seen as a powerful prime minister, he takes some symbolic action like registering of FIRs or prosecution or putting these people in jail. That would be very interesting to watch. And then whether India, eases the pressure. From all accounts, after the Balakot airstrikes, India does not intend to ease pressure on Pakistan till the terror infrastructure that's aimed at India is dismantled in Pakistan.
I cannot think of any other story that is of more importance right now, because this is a big admission coming. What India has been pursuing internationally for such a long time, and at least even if on document, it is an admission by Pakistan government to begin with. Please stay on with me, Gaurav. We are now being joined by Major General G.D. Bakshi. Gaurav, as much as you want to intervene, please feel free. Major General G.D. Bakshi, do you see this as a big admission coming in from Pakistan? Because it's not just about how big this admission could be. It could also be about, can this mean global pressure working? At least on the terror havens, of which both Pakistan and India have suffered.
Look, the simple fact is that whenever Pakistan comes under international pressure, especially from an organization like the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force. It makes an odd concession here and there. But for us to get carried away and get ecstatic would be premature. The simple fact is Hafiz Saeed is a globally designated terrorist. Pakistan freely admits it's on its territory. Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi, Masood Azhar, globally designated terrorist. Pakistan admits it is on its territory, but what action has it taken? Zilch, zero. So the fact of the matter is that I think the only answer is that India will have to do what America did to Osama bin Laden. We have the means, we have the resources. We should locate this guy and send him to blow him sky high. Blow him sky high to smithereens like they did with with Osama bin Laden. We have the means, the precision strike means. There are so many options available. I think it's about time that we did it ourselves rather than waiting till kingdom come for the Pakistani courts. I think we should have learned our lesson from 26/11. Dossier after dossier. Dossier
India should do it by yourself. What do you mean by the comment that you made there, sir?
No, what I mean is, let me restate it in more unambiguous terms. What I mean is, what did America do to Osama bin Laden? It took kinetic action to eliminate Osama bin Laden on Pakistani territory.
Well, at least
Pakistani territory.
Yes, sir.
That is the only way those who suffered at the hands of Dawood Ibrahim, 270 plus Indians killed, 750 wounded. You know, in the largest mass casualty terrorist strike on India, has gone unpunished. He is cocking a snook at us. Under the tutelage, the total mentorship, guidance, guardianship of the ISI. He's just been forced to admit that he's there, that he is in so-and-so. We have been giving that address in Clifton Bungalow, Karachi for years together. Years.
And to be able to get away for so long, sir. And perhaps and perhaps from here we can at least see that India can only push this ahead. That's the document on your screen. The fact that there is an address mentioned of Dawood Ibrahim accepting that he has a property there in Pakistan. Will it be seized? Will the funds also be seized? Will there be some action taken? Remember, it's not just Dawood Ibrahim. There were other known terrorists, internationally recognized terrorists, who are mentioned on that list as well. That has been released by Pakistan government. That is what makes this so important and so crucial. We'll continue to track all the latest. Thank you so much, Major General G.D. Bakshi and also Gaurav Sawant, for all the latest. Stay tuned to India Today, because we'll continue to track all the latest on this big story.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.